Welcome to Book Buzz Reviews and Summaries. Imagine this. It's the end of the month, and once again, your bank account is running on fumes. You're staring at the numbers, wondering where all your hard-earned money went. Rent, groceries, gas, an unexpected bill. Somehow, your paycheck has vanished into thin air. Sound familiar? You're not alone. For millions of people, living paycheck to paycheck feels like an inescapable cycle, a constant game of financial survival where one wrong move, a car repair, a medical bill, a forgotten expense, can send everything into chaos. Debt piles up, stress builds, and the dream of financial freedom feels like a distant fantasy. But what if it didn't have to be this way? What if you could take control of your money instead of letting it control you? This is where You Need a Budget by Jesse Mecham comes in. This isn't just another book about spreadsheets and cutting lattes. It's a revolutionary, proven system that can transform the way you think about money forever. Whether you're drowning in debt, struggling to make ends meet, or simply want to break free from financial stress, this book offers a practical, step-by-step approach to finally getting ahead. But here's the real secret. Budgeting isn't about restrictions, it's about freedom. It's about spending with confidence, saving with purpose, and living the life you truly want. No more guilt, no more anxiety, just clarity, control, and a roadmap to a brighter future. So, if you're ready to stop wondering where your money went and start telling it where to go, let's dive in. Your financial transformation starts now. Part 1 Summary of You Need a Budget by Jesse Mecham. Jesse Mecham's You Need a Budget, (NAB) isn't just about money. It's about freedom, control, and peace of mind. It's a game-changing approach that shifts the way people think about budgeting, helping them break free from the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle, eliminate debt, and take charge of their financial future. In Part 1, Mecham lays the foundation of his budgeting philosophy by introducing the core principles of the NAB system, transforming budgeting from a restrictive chore into an empowering tool for building the life you want. Chapter 1. The Budgeting Mindset: Why Traditional Budgets Fail. Most people think of budgeting as a restrictive, frustrating process, a financial diet that sucks all the fun out of life. Mecham challenges this mindset immediately. He argues that the real reason budgets fail isn't because people lack self-discipline, but because traditional budgeting methods are flawed. Traditional budgets focus on tracking spending after it happens, making them reactive instead of proactive. They also create unrealistic expectations by setting rigid categories that don't account for life's unpredictability. When unexpected expenses arise, which they always do, people feel like they've failed and abandon budgeting altogether. Mecham reframes budgeting as something dynamic, flexible, and empowering. He introduces the NAB philosophy, which isn't about restriction, it's about prioritization. Instead of telling your money where to go in advance, the NAB method teaches you to listen to what your money is trying to tell you and make intentional decisions based on your true priorities. Chapter 2. Rule 1. Give every dollar a job. Here's where the magic begins. The first rule of a NAB is simple yet revolutionary. Every dollar must have a job before you spend it. Most people budget by looking at their income and making vague predictions about what they think they'll need. Mecham flips this approach on its head. Instead of forecasting months ahead, a NAB teaches you to focus on the money you have right now. Every time you get paid, you assign each dollar to a specific purpose, whether that's rent, groceries, savings, or even a fun night out. The key is to be intentional. If you don't give your dollars a job, they'll disappear without a trace, leaving you wondering where your money went at the end of the month. This chapter includes real-life examples of people who went from feeling broke to financially confident simply by applying Rule 1. They started paying down debt, saving for emergencies, and even funding dreams they never thought possible, all because they started telling their money where to go instead of letting it slip away unnoticed. Chapter 3. Rule 2. Embrace your true expenses. Most people don't go broke because of their day-to-day expenses. They go broke because of unexpected ones. But are these expenses really unexpected? Car repairs, holiday shopping, home maintenance. These things happen every year. Yet, many people act surprised when they pop up, scrambling to cover the costs with credit cards or dipping into savings. Inab's second rule teaches you to anticipate these expenses and plan for them before they happen. Mecham calls these true expenses, the non-monthly costs that tend to derail budgets. Instead of waiting for a crisis, you set aside small amounts each month so that when these expenses come up, you already have the money ready. For example, if you know your car insurance bill is $600 every 6 months, you don't wait until it's due to panic. Instead, you set aside $100 per month so that when the bill arrives, it's no big deal. This rule is a game changer because it eliminates the financial roller coaster. By embracing true expenses, you transform emergencies into planned events, reducing stress and avoiding the need for debt. Chapter 4. Rule 3. Roll with the punches. Life doesn't go according to plan. So, why should your budget be any different? Most people quit budgeting because they think they've failed when they overspend in a category. Mecham argues that this is the wrong way to look at it. Instead of seeing overspending as failure, Inab teaches you to adjust, or as he calls it, roll with the punches. If you overspend on groceries, don't beat yourself up. Instead, move money from another category to cover it. Maybe you take $20 from your dining out budget or your entertainment fund. The key is flexibility. This chapter introduces the concept of zero-based budgeting, where you're constantly reallocating funds based on real-life circumstances. Budgets aren't meant to be set in stone. They're living, breathing tools that should adapt as your needs change. By rolling with the punches, you remove the guilt and stress that often come with budgeting. Instead of feeling defeated, you feel in control, knowing that you have the power to adjust and keep moving forward. Chapter 5. Rule 4. Age your money. The ultimate goal of Inab is financial security. And the secret to financial security? Stop living paycheck to paycheck. Mecham introduces a concept he calls aging your money. The idea is simple. The longer you can hold on to your money before spending it, the less financial stress you'll experience. Instead of spending this week's paycheck on this week's expenses, you work toward a system where you're using last month's income to cover this month's bills. This chapter explains how to gradually age your money by prioritizing savings and cutting unnecessary expenses. It also highlights the mental shift that happens when you're no longer in survival mode. Instead of making financial decisions based on panic or urgency, you make them from a place of stability and confidence. Chapter 6. The psychological shift from scarcity to abundance. This chapter explores the emotional side of money management. Many people have a scarcity mindset. They believe money is always running out, that they'll never get ahead, and that financial security is out of reach. Mecham explains how budgeting, done the Inab way, helps people shift to an abundance mindset. When you start giving every dollar a job, planning for true expenses, and rolling with the punches, you feel empowered. Instead of feeling trapped by your finances, you feel in control. Instead of dreading the future, you look forward to it. Mecham shares inspiring stories of people who went from paycheck to paycheck living to financial independence just by adopting these 4 simple rules. Their lives transformed, not because they made more money, but because they managed their money differently. Thoughts on Part 1. The first part of You Need a Budget lays out the foundation of a system that is practical, flexible, and actually works. Unlike traditional budgeting, which feels restrictive and unsustainable, Inab is about freedom. It helps people stop feeling anxious about money and start using it as a tool to create the life they want. With the 4 rules in place, readers are ready to take action, transform their finances, and move on to the next phase, applying the system in real life. And that's exactly what Part 2 covers. Part 2 Summary of You Need a Budget by Jesse Mecham. In Part 1, Jesse Mecham introduced the 4 foundational rules of the Inab method, shifting budgeting from a restrictive chore to an empowering tool for financial control. Now, in Part 2, He moves beyond the philosophy and dives into the real-life application of the system. This section is all about implementing the method, overcoming mental and emotional barriers, and making budgeting a sustainable habit that transforms lives. This part focuses on action, guiding readers through the challenges and victories of managing money intentionally. It covers handling financial setbacks, overcoming common budgeting mistakes, and creating long-term financial stability. Chapter 7: Breaking the Paycheck-to-Paycheck Cycle. One of the biggest financial struggles people face is living paycheck to paycheck, where money comes in and disappears almost immediately. This cycle leads to constant stress, anxiety, and a feeling of never being able to get ahead. Mecham explains that the NAB system helps break this cycle by shifting how people think about their money. The key lies in aging your money, working toward a financial buffer where you're spending last month's income instead of this month's. Practical steps to escape the cycle: prioritize ruthlessly, focus on covering essential expenses first, and say no to non-essentials temporarily. Start small. Even setting aside an extra $50 per month will help build momentum. Use windfalls wisely. Tax refunds, bonuses, or unexpected money should go toward padding your budget instead of mindless spending. Mecham reassures readers that breaking this cycle doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow but steady process of deliberate financial decisions. But once you stop living paycheck to paycheck, you'll feel an overwhelming sense of financial relief. Chapter 8: Dealing with Debt Without Losing Your Sanity. Debt is one of the biggest obstacles to financial freedom. Mecham doesn't just acknowledge this, he tackles it head-on. Rather than shaming people for having debt, he takes a compassionate approach, recognizing that debt often stems from unexpected circumstances, financial illiteracy, or survival mode spending. But while debt is overwhelming, it's not impossible to overcome. NAB's approach to debt: 1. Budget first, pay off debt second. Mecham emphasizes that budgeting should always come before aggressive debt repayment.
Why?
Because if you don't plan for your true expenses, you'll keep relying on debt. 2. Start with small wins. The psychological boost of paying off a small debt completely can be incredibly motivating. 3. Avoid new debt at all costs. Once you stop adding to your debt, you can focus on eliminating it. By using the NAB system, people naturally start allocating money toward debt payoff without feeling deprived. Over time, they build momentum, and what once seemed impossible becomes achievable. Chapter 9: The Emotional Side of Budgeting. Money is deeply emotional. It's tied to security, self-worth, and even personal identity. Many people struggle with budgeting not because they don't understand numbers, but because they have unresolved emotional relationships with money. Common emotional barriers: guilt and shame. Many people feel ashamed about past financial mistakes and avoid looking at their finances altogether. Fear. Some people grew up in financial insecurity and fear that no matter how much they save, they'll always be one emergency away from financial ruin. Scarcity mindset. People who believe they'll never have enough often sabotage their own financial success. Mecham encourages readers to be kind to themselves and treat budgeting as an act of self-care rather than punishment. He shares stories of people who overcame deep emotional wounds around money and transformed their lives using the NAB method. Chapter 10: Budgeting with a Partner Without Fighting. Money is a leading cause of conflict in relationships, but Mecham insists that it doesn't have to be. The problem isn't money itself. It's how couples talk or don't talk about money. NAB provides a framework for collaborative budgeting, turning money discussions from fights into teamwork. Keys to budgeting successfully as a couple: 1. Have regular money check-ins. Mecham recommends a weekly budget date to review finances together. 2. Listen without judgment. Each partner may have different money habits. Some are spenders, some are savers. Understanding each other's money mindset is key. 3. Give each person a little financial freedom. Having personal spending money, even if it's small, prevents resentment and micromanagement. The biggest takeaway? Budgeting should bring couples closer, not drive them apart. When both partners are on the same page financially, it strengthens their relationship. Chapter 11. Teaching Kids About Money. Financial education isn't just for adults. Mecham argues that teaching kids how to budget early sets them up for lifelong financial success. He provides a simple framework for introducing kids to budgeting. Start with real money. Give them an allowance or chore-based earnings so they learn how to handle money. Use the NAB principles. Teach them to give their dollars jobs, plan for future expenses, and adjust as needed. Encourage saving and generosity. Show them the value of saving for big purchases and giving to others. By involving kids in budgeting from an early age, parents can help them avoid financial struggles in adulthood. Chapter 12. What if you fall off the wagon? No one budgets perfectly. Life happens, unexpected expenses, bad months, and even complete financial meltdowns. Mecham reassures readers that slipping up doesn't mean failure. The only mistake is giving up. How to recover from a budgeting slip-up. 1. Forgive yourself. Everyone makes money mistakes, and shame won't help you move forward. 2. Reevaluate your priorities. Adjust your budget to reflect your current reality. 3. Start fresh. One of NAB's most powerful features is the ability to reset and move forward without guilt. This chapter serves as a motivational boost for anyone who feels discouraged, reminding them that progress is more important than perfection. Thoughts on Part 2. This section is where the real transformation happens. Part 1 laid the groundwork, but Part 2 turns theory into actionable change. Readers learn how to escape the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle, pay off debt without feeling miserable, overcome emotional money blocks, budget as a couple without fighting, teach kids about money the right way, recover from budgeting failures, and keep moving forward. At this point, readers aren't just learning about budgeting, they're living it. They're seeing results, gaining confidence, and realizing that financial control is possible for anyone. But there's still one more crucial piece to the puzzle. How do you make budgeting a lifelong habit? That's what Part 3 is all about. Part 3 Summary of You Need a Budget by Jesse Mecham. In Part 1, we learned the 4 essential rules of the NAB system and how they shift budgeting from restrictive to empowering. Part 2 focused on applying the system in real life, breaking the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle, managing debt, handling financial emotions, and budgeting as a couple or family. Now, in Part 3, Jesse Mecham shifts the focus to long-term financial success. This section explores how to make budgeting a lifelong habit, overcome common roadblocks, and use the NAB method to achieve financial freedom. The goal is to transition from just getting by to thriving financially, creating a life where money works for you, rather than controlling you. Chapter 13. The Power of Flexibility. Adapting to Life's Curveballs. If there's one guarantee in life, it's change. No matter how well you plan, life will throw unexpected challenges your way. Job loss, medical emergencies, unexpected expenses, or even positive changes like getting married or having a child. The problem with traditional budgets. Most budgeting systems fail because they're too rigid. Traditional budgets assume life is predictable, but that's rarely the case. When things go off track, most people either panic or abandon their budget altogether. In NAB's solution, budgeting is a constantly evolving process. Mecham stresses that your budget is a living document, not a fixed set of rules. When life throws you a curveball, you don't give up, you adjust. Lost your job? Immediately reallocate funds to cover essentials and pause non-urgent expenses. Unexpected medical bill? Move money from another category rather than relying on credit. Got a raise? Instead of increasing spending, put more towards savings and financial goals. By continually adjusting your budget rather than seeing it as something set in stone, you develop financial resilience. Chapter 14. The Long Game. Making budgeting a lifelong habit. Many people start budgeting with enthusiasm, but motivation often fades. Mecham understands that sticking with budgeting long-term is a challenge, and this chapter focuses on how to make it second nature. 1. Make budgeting a routine, not a task. Just like brushing your teeth or exercising, budgeting works best when it becomes a habit. Instead of treating it as something you do only when money is tight, make it part of your weekly and monthly routine. Set a money date once a week. A quick 15 to 20-minute check-in to review spending, adjust categories, and ensure you're on track. Automate savings and bill payments to reduce friction in your finances. Regularly review your financial goals. Seeing progress keeps you motivated. 2. Shift your mindset. Budgeting is freedom, not restriction. A lot of people view budgeting as limiting, but Mecham flips that perspective. A budget doesn't restrict you. It gives you permission to spend without guilt. Want to go on vacation? Your budget helps you afford it without debt. Want to buy something expensive? Instead of feeling guilty, you can enjoy it because you plan for it. Unexpected expenses? They won't derail you because you already have a plan. 3. Track your progress and celebrate wins. Many people quit budgeting because they don't see the results fast enough. Mecham recommends setting milestones and celebrating financial victories, whether it's paying off a debt, saving your first $1,000, or simply sticking to your budget for 6 months. Chapter 15. The Ultimate Goal, Financial Freedom. Budgeting isn't just about paying bills and avoiding debt. It's about creating a life where money works for you, not the other way around. In this chapter, Mecham discusses the ultimate goal of budgeting, financial freedom. What is financial freedom? Financial freedom means having enough financial stability that you're no longer stressed about money. It doesn't necessarily mean being rich. It means having enough savings, investments, and income to live life on your terms. Steps to achieve financial freedom with an app. 1. Live on last month's income. When you're no longer dependent on your next paycheck to survive, you've broken the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. 2. Eliminate all debt. Once you've paid off debt, your money is yours again, not owed to banks or credit card companies. 3. Build an emergency fund. Having 3 to 6 months' worth of expenses in savings provides security and peace of mind. 4. Invest in your future. Whether through retirement accounts, passive income, or building assets, your long-term financial stability should be a priority. 5. Give yourself financial choices. When you're in control of your money, you can take risks, start a business, switch careers, or travel without worrying about financial survival. Mecham emphasizes that financial freedom isn't about luck. It's about intentional money management over time. Budgeting is the tool that gets you there. Final thoughts on Part 3. This final section is where everything clicks. It's not just about learning to budget. It's about mastering it and using it to build the life you truly want. By now, readers understand that budgeting isn't about restriction or sacrifice. It's about empowerment, freedom, and taking control of your financial destiny. Key takeaways from Part 3. Your budget should be flexible and adaptable. Life changes, and so should your financial plan. Budgeting isn't a short-term fix. It's a lifelong habit that leads to financial stability. Financial freedom is the ultimate goal, and it's possible for anyone who follows the NAB method consistently. Conclusion. Why YNAB works for everyone. Jesse Mecham's You Need a Budget is more than just a financial book. It's a blueprint for changing your relationship with money. It shifts budgeting from being a dreaded task to an empowering tool that gives you control, security, and freedom. By following the 4 NAB rules and consistently applying the principles outlined in this book, anyone, regardless of income level or financial background, can achieve financial stability and peace of mind. The final challenge: take action. Mecham doesn't just want readers to think about budgeting, he wants them to start. He challenges everyone to apply the NAB method, track their progress, and experience firsthand how it transforms their financial life. After reading this book, one thing becomes clear. When you control your money, you control your life. And that is the true power of budgeting. Read the book to learn more. Thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new video updates.